Not half pop pickers, all right. How about a little bit of Dave D, Dozy Beaky, Mick, and you know who, all right. Pick of the Pops, take two. God damn. Hi, everybody. It's another week. Who'd have thought? I've left the door slightly open to the terrazzo. I have the Noisiest Birds, Make Up Your Own Gags, Benny Hill, 1973. Parakeets. You got parakeets, right? Parakeets, the green things, right? Loud. They are like the motley crew of the aviary bird. They're like Nikki Sixx and Mick Mars and Tommy Lee and Vince. It's ridiculous. Anywho, there we are. No guests today, but my two, well, I say friends. I like it when we can just have you as the stars of the show. So what have we got before they come on? Barry J. Allen, Hi Flash. What else we got? Oh, God, come on, move.
Crazy name, crazy gal.
Then we got Good Day from New York State. There's nothing like that. Doesn't live in Mississippi, for God's sake. Preparing a trip to Albany. Okay. And then we've got... Oh, that sounds disgusting. What do we got? Hope everyone, hi everyone. Harry Robert Van Buren and getting a what? Getting yuck. It's revolting. Getting a pedicure. Right. You know him. You've grown to love him. He is the king of New Malden. Ladies and gentlemen.
King of New Malden at your service. Greetings and good afternoon.
That would be enough excitement for most radio stations, but not for Men's Radio Station.
I think so.
All the way from Stanmore, twinned with New Orleans. I don't know why. It's only lovely to meet her.
No way.
Good morning.
Morning.
Wait.
Good morning.
I think this is sticking. Longy. Hello to the King of New Malden. I was trying to think of something that sort of rhymes with New Malden, but there's nothing. The Marchioness, but that doesn't work because you're a bloke. I don't know what it is. Right. Suggestions. So,
the manhunk of Malden.
I think we've got to keep it within the vague realms of reality. I think, to be honest with you,
so that is in very clear realms of reality, Russell Kane.
Now then, lovely to meet you. Are you in your kitchen?
I'm in
kitchen.
Sorry,
kitchen.
The dining part of the kitchen, the conservatory. But I haven't got the garden showing today because you made comments about it last time, and I thought, oh well, sod that.
No, I didn't.
You did.
I did.
You did.
I would never do that. I would never ever say anything rude. And Neil has worked with me for 30 years plus. Have you ever heard me be rude? There you go. And if Neil Long says it, it must be true. You're looking a little bouffant today. Not you, Neil, obviously. But is there sort of a whole thing going on here? What's going on with the...
It's a bad hair day.
Is it?
I think so. I think it's a bad... I went to the hairdresser, had my hair cut, and said to him, you've left it too long on top. And he said, oh, no, I haven't. And then we went into pantomime.
Well, is he in panto now?
Yep.
And from the hairdresser, you went to Widow Twanky's laundry.
Oh, I was just going to say something that would have been rude. I'm not going to say it.
God forbid. Paul Rose. Hello, Paul, you clever fellow. Good afternoon, all. Emma
Hello,
Webb.
Paul Rose. Good afternoon, Paul.
Hello, darlings. I translate. I'm not sure what that means. Now, the wonderful...
Thank you, Emma.
That's very nice. Would you care to read this out, Neil Long?
Good morning, you beautiful people. I enjoyed a lovely 4-mile walk yesterday with the 4 Men and Talk and Walk group. There were 13 of us. I've heard about a couple of groups like this. I would love to get one of them on the show.
But
because
only
I heard one
12
described the
came
other day.
back.
What?
But only 12 came back.
Oh, stop it.
I watched too much Agatha Christie.
I think you do. But they say when there's a group of men like this, like the quote was, there was a magic in the room. And I kind of want to explore that a little bit one day. And I'm sure it's the same with a collective of ladies too, but in a different way.
And there's a Men in Sheds group as well.
Oh, there is Men in Sheds.
Men in Sheds.
Yeah, Men in Sheds. But they do the same thing. It's uplifting emotionally.
Yes.
Big question coming in for lovely Demisa. Do you think the Queen ever has a bad hair day? No.
Hair
Jeez.
day, darling.
that-
Hair.
Well,
Yeah, well, frequently.
that's very
I would
good.
say.
I didn't think.
Very
Damn it,
clever.
that's
I like
very good. Bad air day. That's really good.
Mm.
Very good. I misread it. How clever! How clever, Facebook user. If you, that means somebody's watching us on my espresso bar group, which is a group which you have to apply for. I'm afraid chaps only. It's the only time we do that, and we've got about 1,000 people plus on it. So if you want to join, just go over to the espresso bar, and I'll admit you, as long as you're the right age, i.e., you're not 18 or something, and you're not a lady. Hi all. Now, this is interesting. It says, how's your hand? Well,
Oh,
not great.
God, Neil, wait for it.
No, I'm not going to go there. No. I
No,
don't think
please,
it's
please.
No,
be
come on,
a
Russ. Tell us how your hand is.
Come on, tell us. Oh, are
being
you
sarcastic.
sulking now? Look,
being
Neil's walked
sarcastic.
off. He's so fed up.
Here's a light. I'm going to take the splint off. I'll show you.
No, I wasn't. I'm not fed up.
I'm taking this splint off because it is quite uncomfortable.
What, the
But I have
splint or doing it?
Both, but I have to take it off gingerly, right? And I'll put it down here. And
See, this is what it looked like originally, so it's a lot
This
better.
is what I
Sorry.
can do. That's as straight as I can get it. I can't get it any straighter. I can move these fingers, and the other
Good.
two, nothing at all.
It's coming back.
And I got to be honest with you, I think, and I could be wrong here, it has delayed my chances against Mike Tyson in his comeback in the heavyweight division. I could be wrong.
It depends if you lead with your right or your left, darling.
Well, I'm left-handed. I actually lead with my left. And
Okay.
one of the things they say to do in the physiotherapy is make a fist. Absolutely can't. That's as much as it's infuriating. It's infuriating. But anyway, there we are. Am I still part of Wolverine? This is very good. This is from Paul. Are you still part Wolverine? That is referring to the fact that here, I'm not going to show you, are two whacking great wires sticking out. Yeah. So I'm afraid I am. They have to be done every day. And the paraphernalia I've had to buy to clean them. And I'm very squeamish. So I pretend it's not my hand. I just think it's like I'm either fixing some Lego or, doing a bit of DIY. Because I think this is actually my hand, I will just faint. So there we are. I'm not that brave. I just have to... What have we got here? This is very good. Luke Newman. Would love to come on for a chat, Longy, for Men to Talk. I've hosted over 600 male attend. Yeah, well, come back. Come back and talk to us. You got my email, Luke, and send me a...
Yeah, get in touch with Russ, Luke. He handles all the bookings. But
Yeah, because I've got nothing else to do. Luke, just do that, and we'll sort that out. Now then, I think it would be remiss of me, because I like it when you guys are anything that you, for once. There's no agenda today, no guests today, because the rest of the week is absolutely rammed. And I just wanted for you to chat. Whatever's on top of mind, come on, that's the whole point of this show, for you guys to chat. There's
Absolutely.
no producer. There's no 14-year-old intern saying, I don't want that one, I don't want this one. You just come on the show.
So
That's
anything
it.
that's on your mind, and we might have an answer, or if not, I'm pretty
Now,
sure
I
we
was
can find someone who does.
I was hoping we could get a little bit above. We are not BBC local radio. Tomato or no, we're not doing that. And what we're not doing is, hey, what's your favorite biscuit? I'll tell you what I like. I really like a digestible. Do you find... No, I don't want any of that crap either.
I'm more of a Gary Baldy man, mate.
By the way, happy anniversary to Tony Blackburn and his fabulous wife, Debbie. Happy anniversary. They're so lovely. As lovely as you think they would be, they are. And Debbie is just great. No, Paul, no, we're not doing BBC Radio Norwich. What's your favourite biscuit? We're not doing that. We're trying to do things that are on your mind. So we start from her conservatory somewhere in the Western Hemisphere with lovely Demisa. What is on top of your mind?
All sorts of things, because I was away for the weekend. I was in the Cotswolds.
Very
for the
nice.
Weekend.
Hang on, I got to stop. Elizabeth, this is from New York City, Manhattan. Elizabeth Green, If I say we're not doing biscuits, that includes the American terminology, we're not doing cookies. I'm drawing a line. You've been told. Oh, for God's sake, no. Bagel or beigel.
I don't think people are taking us seriously this morning.
Is he a foreman of the foremans?
No, I don't know, because
Oh.
if it was, I would be getting shed loads of smoked salmon sent around
you and
every
me
week.
And
And frankly, Ian Foreman, as far as I'm concerned, a huge disappointment because he's not part of the smoked salmon family, which would have been great.
Okay, let's shut him down then.
Well, no, hang on a minute. He has raised an interesting point. My grandmother, who died a gazillion years ago, was the only grandparent I ever had. She would pronounce it beigel, and it was always beigel, and then it's now bagel. That's it.
Oh, bagel.
Finished.
Bagel.
Melanie, you're heading for the naughty step, hobnob.
Melanie, corner.
Right. Neil, take care of that, please. This is
Yeah, sure.
sheer insurrection. It's insurrection.
No, I know. I'll sort her out. I'll be back in a minute.
All right, thank you.
Anyway,
right, you over there. Thank you.
Shake of it.
Do that again.
I was saying to you that I was in the Cotswolds, frightfully refined part at the weekend. Can't go into. Somebody around the corner had a huge party. Somebody very, very, very big in the film industry. I'm not allowed to talk about it, but I did bump into Mariella Frostrop in the pub.
Oh, did you now?
And then Tom Hollander crossing the road. What can I say?
Tom Hollander's dad is the most charming guy. Tom Hollander, who's a very good actor, and he's Spider-Man, isn't he? Tom Hollander. Have I got the right guy? Am I going mad?
No, it's Tom Holland.
Tom
I
Hollander.
don't know who he is.
Yes,
Shut
you
up,
do.
Russell. Tom Hollander, do I know?
He was in the night. Was it the Night Porter? The night.
Oh, him. Oh, Tom Holland. Yes, of course I know him.
You're thinking of Dominic Holland and his son Tom.
I am. That's because I'm stupid and on.
And Dominic Holland is a comedian because I've seen him on stage.
Yes, he is.
Whereas Tom Hollander is an excellent actor,
isn't he? He was in Taboo as well. If you saw that,
I didn't.
Oh, he's a fantastic actor. Yeah.
And very.
Did you say anything? Did you go up and go?
No. We were driving and he was crossing the road. So it would have been a little silly to leap out of the car. But I did talk to Mariella Frostrop, who I can say is charming, lovely, genuine and funny.
Blimey.
And gorgeous in the flesh. She looked fabulous.
And she has that lovely, what I call late night radio voice as well.
I said to her, it's so lovely that you sound the same in real life.
Yeah, she got that lovely deep voice, if I may.
Did she go, that's so nice of you, Leslie. Thank you very much. I love that showbiz voice I put on. Nice, isn't it?
Silly ass. But I was down there for a summer fete. I was helping with the summer fete and bossing people about.
This is Midsummer Murders, isn't it? All over again.
It really is. Everyone knows everybody else's business. Phenomenal.
And I say I wouldn't like that at all.
But I also met a real life person. I met an Old Bailey judge who lives down there and had a chat with him. And he's invited me to meet him. At the Old Bailey.
Will you be taking your briefs?
No briefs were mentioned.
Okay, fine.
I think his husband wouldn't have liked me talking about the briefs. But he's invited me to the Bailey and he said, don't sit in the public gallery. I'll meet you. I'll walk you in. You can be in the main body of the court, blah, blah, blah.
Stand in the block, he'll say. And you'll be standing there and they go, does the plaintiff have anything to say? And you go, what? Well, no, I'm just a visitor.
No, I like court. I know what to do in court, just like you do.
Yes, I
Russell.
do. I got stuck in the Old Bailey. We had clients and they said, can you go down to the jail? So I went down to the jail. I was an article clerk. The reason was I was an article clerk and I studied law for 5 years. Complete waste of time for me. But anyway, there we are. I did. And I went down. And even though you're only going down on behalf of the solicitors, scary as hell.
Isn't
scary
it?
As hell.
So when they say take him down, they mean that literally. It is down.
You go, at the Bailey, you go down, and suddenly all the sort of wonderful atmosphere and the wood and the oak, and that's all gone, and you are in a really unpleasant prison. And there's a tiny little part of you, and this is the human psyche going, supposing there's a terrible mistake and I never get out. It's completely stupid. I know it's ridiculous. I was just down there to sort something out, affidavit or something, and it was scary. I couldn't wait to get out.
Russ, I went down, if you'll pardon the expression, as well. Had to go and ask a client. I was working for a barrister at the time. I had to go and ask the client if he wanted to appeal, and it had been a case of armed robbery.
Oh, blimey!
And I was really trepidatious. Like you said, it's that feeling when you go down there. And the warden, I must be polite and call him a warden as opposed to a screw, said to me, "It's all right, love. I'll be right outside the door of the cell in case you need anything." And I looked at this chap, the gentleman,
Defendant.
who committed armed robbery. And I said, "Do you want to appeal?" He said, no. He said it would be ridiculous. I might get a longer sentence. He said, "You look a little bit afraid." He said, "Don't worry, darling. Some of us actually have certain ethics with regards to women and children. I won't touch you, I promise." And I went, I went back up and said to the barrister, "Oh, he's such a nice chap." And the barrister looked at me and said, "Are you mad?"
Man. This is the thing. This is the thing about criminals. Very briefly, on the outside, we've talked about this before, Longy. On the outside, you think, oh, the mafia or the mob or the craze or anything. Oh, it's rather attractive, isn't it? You can be a bit of a player.
No, I've never thought that.
That's really interesting.
I've never thought that. I've had no experience with it, but I've never perceived it as glamorous. It might look it, but it's not. It's a dark, dark, dark place.
I can't tell you how scary it is. When you watch the mob movies and the Scorsese stuff, which I adore. And you
Goodfellas was incredible, wasn't it?
The best film. All my life I wanted to be a good. You see that, you think, I could understand that. I could get into that, But boy, oh boy, if you're on the wrong side of it, even for a nanosecond. My first book was published by a wonderful chap called John Blake. It's John Blake Publishing. And the book was called Shout at the Moon. And he got into a groove where it became very popular, and he was first on it to spot it, of real life crime stories. So real life autobiographies of genuine criminals. I don't mean someone who's nicked a packet of cigarettes from Sainsbury's. I'm talking about kind of fairly big time. And they did very, very well. They published loads and loads of books. And one day I had a meeting with him and his right-hand woman. They were both called Rosie. They were just the most charming, lovely people. They were ashen. My meeting was in the afternoon. I could see something was completely wrong. They were ashen. I said, "Guys, what's the matter?" And they said, "Well, we had a meeting with," I'm not going to mention his name, XYZ, somebody very well-known gangster. I went, "Yeah." And they said, "We're doing his book." Yeah. We've had lots of meetings with him. And he was fine. I said, "Yeah." And in the middle of this meeting, they said something he didn't like. And they said it was terrifying because this guy who'd been quite amiable just went and just changed. His face changed, his demeanor changed. They're in his home and they were terrified. Now, clearly, he probably wasn't going to do anything, but it's the way that someone can just change, on a sixpence and become this other dangerous, dark, quite psychotic person. They were really shaken up. And it was a horrible insight into, it's not glamorous, it's not nice. You don't want to touch it with a barge pole. It's scary as hell.
Nor mentally healthy, I would have thought.
Not at all. Not at all. I don't know how you live like that, but then you're outside of the rest of the world, aren't you? I suppose you see yourself. What do you think?
I do think you have to have a completely different mindset, because where's conscience come into it? Presumably you don't have one. Sociopath? I'm not sure.
Sociopath. Yeah. See, how for example, you've hit a wonderful nail on the head there. The craze, and people go, "Oh, you could leave your front door open." In those days, they were lovely to their mum. Yes. And they'd take a hammer to your face.
Yep.
How do you square that circle? It's very confusing. I mean, I would have been terrified, absolutely terrified. There's no, I would love to have gone to a nightclub with those guys. No, I really wouldn't have, because I think it would have been horrible. Asa Don Brown, would you care to read this out? Neil Long of Malden.
Asa Don Brown, who works in the psychiatric community. I've had a few criminals as patients, and I've worked in prisons and jails work. You learn a lot about the depravity and desperation of our humanity. That's quite a powerful statement.
That is a powerful statement. I got a question for both of you, and I'm starting with Leslie, and then I'm going to ask Neil, then the same question to Neil. Do you believe that some people emanate evil? Do you ever walk past somebody? I don't mean you're at a party or you're having dinner. I mean, you're kind of at a bus queue or somewhere in a shop, and somebody, you think, that person, there's just a vibe. They haven't said a word.
Yeah.
There's a
Are
vibe.
you asking me first or Leslie?
I was going to ask ladies first if I can do that in 2022 without being
You
a
may.
sexist, patriarchal bastard. I don't know what you're supposed to do these days anyway.
It's a very interesting point. It took me straight back to when I used to teach, because I've always said, no, there aren't bad children. There are children that have had a tough time or this, that, and the other. And they're not intrinsically bad or horrible or something. But I had one child once, and I'm not going to say he terrified me, but he was kind of unreachable, untouchable, and scary. He never did anything to me, but then I was a really tough cookie in the classroom and phenomenally disciplined, and my kids didn't do anything. But he scared the hell out of me, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, and it was a look, and it was just completely unreachable.
Yeah.
Neil?
Occasionally, I come across someone, and it is rare, who's just got a vibe that I don't want to be around. I'm quite... It's weird. Since I did the NLP about 10 years ago, some reason I came out of that course. It's only a week-long course, and I was able to feel things more accurately. So if I walk past someone, if I was in a relaxed state of mind, I could kind of, I don't mean sort of odd psychic stuff, but I could kind of pick up things about them without them having said anything, if you know what I mean, or sense the mood of someone sometimes. But occasionally I just meet someone with a vibe and I'm like, I don't know what it is, can't put my finger on it, but I don't want to go near. I like, because I'm an advocate for mental health as well, I love the uplifting positive vibes. Yeah. I don't mean kind of rose tinted glasses, positive vibes only, #unicorns, but in general, the positive vibes are healthier, they're more wholesome,
of course they are.
And more creative. There's nothing not to like about them, if you know what I mean.
So I don't like
question around. I've met some very toxic people.
Oh yes, I'm not talking about that. There are toxic people who, within a minute, you think.
Or angry people, or people that could start a fight in an empty room, and people that just need to be right at all costs, and it's all about their ego. And if they're not getting attention, they throw the toys out the pram and cause all sorts. I've come across people like that in my time.
I think we're lucky at our stage in life, and I rarely say this because it always sounds like you're writing yourself off, but I think we are, the three of us, lucky, and I know that many of our listeners and viewers all over the world, and good morning to everybody on Deluxe Radio. Big shout out to David Wimble, all the gang at Deluxe, all 70,000 of you taking this stream. Bless you. Is that we've got to a stage in life, or quite some time ago, where you can say, you know what, I'm just not going to work with this person. I'm putting aside the social side. You've always got a choice. I don't want to go to that do. I don't want to go to that function. Why? I just don't want to. You don't need an excuse. I don't want to do it. End of. That's the end of the discussion.
And you're right, Russ. You don't need a reason. You can just say no.
A bloody excuse. I just don't want to go. That's all there is to it. But I think with working, I'm thinking about working, Neil, that sometimes you think, I don't care if they're going to pay me whatever. They're just horrible people. I just don't need the aggravation.
Yeah, I mean, I will say they're rare. They're very rare, which is nice.
Oh, they are rare. No, it is rare.
But the interesting thing is, Neil, you just said you can just say no. Some people find it so difficult to say no. They feel that they shouldn't. And
no, this leads exactly on to what I was about to say, Leslie. It's no coincidence you said that. I was having a wonderful conversation with a lady only today. It was about people pleasing and that sort of thing. Yeah. And there's another lady, old Dave. I definitely want to read this out in a minute. And there's another lady who I will name, Helen Snape, and I interviewed her a couple of times. Now she has built a whole body of work, and she'd be brilliant to have on here. Actually, Russ, I'd love to get her on.
Get hold of her.
On about being a reformed people pleaser.
Oh yes,
she was, and none of this is a secret. It's all on her website, so I can freely say it. She said she was dating a narcissist for God knows how long. until eventually it took her to rock bottom. And now she's sort of climbed out of that mire, loves herself again, or perhaps for the first time, and now puts out this work which helps other people. And it comes down to this shoulding. It's this shoulding all over yourself. It's that word should. Should, must, and ought are not good words for valuing yourself. I should do it.
Why do we get sucked down that rabbit hole?
I'll tell you why, because it links to what Dave said. The metaphors I've heard are shoulding all over yourself, a tightening of the oughter-is, or, forgive me, masturbating. Should, ought, and must are not
very good.
Desire or want to is completely different. And it comes down to fear. This is what Dave says. The vibe can be often rooted in fear that an individual has. So they present a stay away vibe to avoid resolving their own issues. And that, Dave, is absolutely right. And that is called projection. And it is absolutely huge. And until someone actually realizes that it's their issues and they've got to look inside themselves and resolve it, love themselves, absolutely. Not give themselves a hard time, but only they can do it. It's the rare narcissists that say, do you know what? I actually feel I've got some issues and I'm projecting them onto you. I think
Jeez.
I don't know many narcissists that have said those things over the years.
They don't have it's not that they don't even have a moral compass, which they don't. They seriously don't have a moral compass.
It's like they said, they can't deal with their own shit, so they kind of project it onto other people, and it's generally the things that they can't own in themselves. This is the thing with projection. If you can't own something in yourself, think of all the moralizing in the church about, don't have sex, don't do this, don't do that, and then look what was going on behind the scenes, right?
Precisely.
Right. Another guy said to me, I can't stand people that have affairs. I hate people that have affairs. Guess what he was doing? Yeah. And it's that. When ultimately some of the things that people can't own, I mean, I certainly don't mean the things that are going on in the church, but relatively in the scheme of things, some of them are quite innocent. And it's so much easier just to own it, understand your behavior, make the changes you want to, and leave everyone else out the picture.
When you look at
in my opinion,
organized religion, we're not going to get into the whole thing, but if you look at it's an American thing. Thank God we don't really have it over here. Those evangelical people, and they've got 2 Lear jets or 2 Bombardier jets. They are multi-millionaires. They have literally fleets of Rolls Royces. They're complete con men, con women. And I look at these people. And you think, how are you getting away with this? The hypocrisy is
because people need something to hold on to and believe. And rather than sort of looking inside themselves for their own self-love and happiness, they have to give it to an outside authority because that's what they're taught to do. And if that outside authority says, actually, you don't need us, we just guide you within to yourself, that outside authority loses all its power, and they don't want that because they lose their Rolls Royces too.
I find it incredible.
Am I being controversial?
No, I don't think you're being. I think you're being very honest, and I've never understood it. But
who was that American evangelist? He got caught with
Jerry Falwell. They had Jerry Falwell.
He got caught with a lady of the night. Apparently, he asked for forgiveness, but she charged extra for that. Sorry.
That's very good. I hate liars, says Chrissy Richards in the south of Spain. No, in Spain, not South Spain. Covers a lot of people, doesn't it? I don't know if they're lying or they're going into this ghastly thing. I go back to that Oprah Winfrey interview with the Montecito Monas so much because when somebody says we talked about this last week, it's my truth. Well, okay, here's my truth. I won the Formula One race on Sunday. I'm celebrating. There's my truth. It's not true. How far do you want to take it?
Yeah, but I have your own truth. It's got to be true.
I was going to say, isn't that delusional? You won the Formula One race on Sunday. Congratulations, darling.
Yeah, thanks.
But about being delusional, would you like to talk about that at all?
No.
What
I'm saying is it's patently stupid. Of course I didn't. I got a Formula One driver.
Well, not with one hand anyway. Not with just one hand.
Well, no, I can't even drive my car.
Oh, I like this from Dave. This is the difference between religion and spirituality, Dave. I think you summed it up beautifully.
Yeah.
Religion is the external connection.
For our deluxe listeners, because they can't see it. You're going to read it out, Leslie, if you would be so kind?
Religion is the external validation. Faith is the internal connection to belief.
Yeah.
And that comes back into shoulding, because if we think there is some even bigger authority that's judging our every move. We're going to want to please that authority, and people like that are very kind of vulnerable to be manipulated. You have to do this, you have to do that, or else. And it's just all based on fear. Jimmy Swaggart, that's who it was. And again, as Dave says, it's based on fear. It's based on fear. And to me, it's really old school thinking. It's about 400 years too old, in my humble opinion.
The best summation of religion. Look, I always say this because it would be rude of me not to. If it gives you comfort and strength, fantastic. That's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely.
I would never say you're wrong or you're stupid or that would be a shocking and incorrect thing to say, and I would never ever do that. Just don't try and force it down my throat. But the best summation of religion is George Carlin. It's still the late magnificent George Carlin, who went from really just a sort of Johnny Carson stand-up, because I've watched all his stuff, to incredibly insightful philosopher and yet hilariously funny at the same time.
Absolutely brilliant. I know the sketch you're talking about.
He talks
and
about,
I agree with him. And I call myself spiritual, but I agree with every word he said. Go figure.
There is the world of difference, and I know Leslie agrees with this, between being spiritual and being religious. My idea is that you can't commit heinous crimes, go in for absolution, everything's fine again, like it's a magic marker and you've just wiped the board clean. What is that?
Yeah.
That is just insane. I'm terribly sorry. I shot someone in the kneecaps, say 28 Hail Mary, whatever. I don't understand how that works at all. I just don't. Well, anyway, there we are. That's just me. Okay. I don't understand it. That's not spiritual. That's some sort of magic voodoo. I don't know. It's just the weirdest thing. I don't understand how people.
But again, Russ, I mean, you're talking of it. I know you're talking generally, but you kind of cited Catholicism within there, and I'm thinking of Yom Kippur, which is the one day of the year where one day and you can atone for everything you've done wrong. Well, I'm sorry, one day wouldn't be long enough for me to atone for everything I've done wrong. And it's
explain, Leslie, for those who don't understand Yom Kippur. Expand it just a little, because in case people who are Catholic saying, that was very rude, explain this, because this applies equally.
It's the holiest day, the most important day, as I understand it, in the Jewish religious calendar. And it is a 25-hour fast, not 24, 25. It's all to do with sunrise and sunset. And during that time, one is meant to pray the whole time. And there is a service which takes place in synagogue that lasts all day. And you atone for anything that you may have done wrong in the course of a year. And then after that, you can start all over. No, it sounds awful. You can start all over again. But it's sort of the beginning of the new thing. And I don't know if anybody in it, because as Russ knows, I am spiritual. On my census form, it said religion, and I put agnostic. And then I answered something else under culture.
Some people answered Jedi to that question.
Well, no, I actually answered Jewish under culture, because culturally I'm Jewish, but religion-wise I'm agnostic. And I think, as Russ says, a lot of it gives a lot of people comfort. For me, it's superstitious stuff, and I don't do that kind of
the way it's
sold. I'd just like to say that I do agree with Russ. I'm not saying anyone is wrong. I just don't like to see good-hearted, innocent seekers, for want of a better word, get conned into what is manipulative shit just designed to control people. That's the problem I have.
It's interesting that you say conned. I have a very close colleague who has faith, and I sometimes think of him and think, gosh, I wish I could fall into that rut, if you like, of having faith, but I can't. I'm
look
too
at
critical.
Phil Dave, who's finally back from his holiday and working like crazy on talk radio and talk TV. Phil's religious.
Yeah.
Phil and I have had discussions about it, and he feels strongly about it. I don't at all, because it's based on fear. I don't mean his religion is based on fear. That would be rude and ridiculous. But like, if you take something like Yom Kippur, if you don't do this, and the way it's sold to you as a child, and I'm being very open about this, is that God has this big book, and your name is in this book. And after 25 hours, this book gets closed. And if you haven't atoned, basically you're screwed. That's it. Now, that is such a scary,
because
horrible.
it's fear-based. It's fear-based.
Neil, absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
It's based on fear, and that's been the way for the last God knows how many thousand years. And now there's these new thought systems coming through, which I would call spiritual, not religious, which is based on love, not fear. And here's an interesting way of looking at it: atonement. If you read that as at one meant, which is a little bit of a clever twist.
You think of all this,
and if you were one with all things, you would hardly need to atone, because you would have a profound connection to it. And if that isn't spiritual, not religious, I don't know what is.
My dad was the least.
But we're all human. We all make mistakes, and it's really good to forgive ourselves.
We're doing our best.
I don't believe in some book where black marks.
No, that's it. And my dad, my dad was the least religious, but I mean, hated it all. And in fact, I was at one point much more religious than he was, and my mum. And he said, I don't get it. All these people go in, they think they can just get absolved. Well, he didn't even use absolved. They get away with it. And then they're fine. He said, what a bunch of blah, 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 hypocrites, right? And he said, as far as I'm concerned, right, just be a decent person. And that has guided me, whether I've achieved it or not remains to be seen. But his whole thing was just be a good person. You don't need to go to a church or a synagogue or a mosque. Just be a decent person.
It is that simple. We're all free to live our values, heal ourselves, if you like, live our values, and allow people to do the same. And if you want heaven on earth, I would suggest that's the closest we get to it, really, because there's no shoulding anymore.
And it's also this terrible kind of gamble. I didn't know we were going to get so philosophical today, but it does guide an awful lot of people. What does Paul say? Leslie, would you be so sweet to read this?
We're also meant to atone for not following the rules of our religion, which instantly means we are judging all other religions as sinners. How is that filling the world with love?
Simple. It's not. And that's projection of that is religious projection. That's projecting your own stuff onto other people, and everyone's going around doing that to everyone else. And you're right, it does not fill the world with love.
And as Ricky Gervais said it best: just don't be a dick.
Perfect.
Fabulous. There's a wonderful interview from years ago with Stephen Fry, who I've got an enormous amount. I'd love to.
I love Stephen Fry.
I'd love to one day. It's never going to happen, but there you go.
I'd have Stephen Fry over for dinner any day. I think it's great.
I mean, sometimes he drives me nuts, and other times I go, "You're just the greatest." But I'm a huge admirer of his.
Me too.
This was my dad. This sums up my dad, who died 22 years ago. Right? I went to him and I said, "Stephen Fry. I really like Stephen Fry, Dad." I said, "Why not?" Too clever. That was my dad. But you have to understand that my grandfather had when he died in 1946, he was a huge gambler, and he left enormous gambling debts, thousands of gambling debts. And in those days, you didn't phone Esther Ranson, or, somebody would come around with a crowbar and a baseball bat, and your knees would be gone if you didn't pay your debts. You know what it's like. So my dad was dragged out of school at 14, and at 14 was not just loading lorries, was driving lorries at 14 years old to pay off the debt. So I got a lot of time for that. You know what I'm saying? It's easy. It's easy if you don't know the background to mock, but I don't. And that formed his worldview. Anyway, Stephen Fry. He's in an interview with. No, I've got to get his name right. Gay Byrne, who
Yep.
The Irish talk show host, who's passed now. He's died. And boy, oh boy, try and look it up, Neil. It's amazing. And Stephen Fry just has a go about religion and his views on. And Gay Byrne who's clearly was a religious fellow, is shocked rigid. And Stephen Fry wasn't rude. He wasn't using bad language. He was just saying how you can just watch it, because if I say it, I'll just ruin it.
I think I've seen it. I think I've seen it. Dave Sleet, atonement in ancient civilization was the forgiveness of debt to remove imbalance between those in power of the social group and the masses. So there you go, at one man, if you like.
Lost me here. You've actually lost, Dave. You've lost me, and I hope you're feeling all right. I know we owe each other a phone call. Atonement in ancient civilization was the forgiveness of debt to remove
Not
imbalance.
Necessarily financial debt.
Oh, this is where I'm lost. Dave, could you expand on that slightly? Well, right, here we go. Let's go across from Fife in Scotland, where Dave Sleet is at the moment. Asa Don Brown in New York State. Neil, if you'd be so kind.
I debated sharing the following, but here goes. I'm glad you did, Asa Don Brown, because it gets very interesting. I started my work in academic education in religious studies. In fact, I have a Bachelor's of Science in Theology and Religion. At the end of the day, you must follow the path that dwells inside you, your morals, ethics, and your own internal guide. But the thing is, that's what the religions teach, but no one seems to be teaching that. If the religion doesn't teach spirituality, what's the point of it? Lisa James, I believe in the universe. Yes, this is the new modern day thinking. People say universe or universal mind. It's more of you could call it a new age point of view, but I'd rather not label it. Religion is one of the biggest causes of war. I follow my vibe and gut feeling. Perfect. I can read a room very quickly and pick up on the good and the bad. I've always been spot on, including a time I walked into a very nice pub and saw a man stood by the bar. And I said to my fiance that we should leave as something bad would happen. He laughed, and then in a few minutes, that man hit another man over the head with a wooden stool. I had blood on me. My other half and the... you might need to write the rest of that. Can you write it again from my other half?
And Neil, and Paul Rose says, Neil, that level of smoke belongs in a jazz club.
It's vaping, not smoking, Paul, but thank you.
Now, oh yeah, I'm just going to put this up. Bone cancer in children. What's that? Yeah, that was the Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but then we can go on to the war thing. What's that about? I've argued this with people who are people of great faith and specific religious groups who say no, because God this and God that, and give me a break. But that's me, and as you say, Russ, and as Neil says, you have to do what is right for you. And if what is right for you is going to a church or a synagogue or a mosque, then do it. If it gives you peace and serenity, do it.
Totally.
But you don't have to do it if it doesn't.
I think everybody strives for.
And you certainly shouldn't have to do it because you're scared of being punished.
There you go.
Yeah. That's the worst reason to do it. So is it punishment or is it forgiveness? Which is it? Which is it? You can't be both. Do you know what I mean? It's benevolent in one sense and malevolent in another. It can't be both. And this is the contradiction which I've had with it from day one, really. My other half and the other couple just looked at me and said, how the hell did you know that? I've had these feelings so many times. I've been right. I'm a freak. No, you're not a freak. Perhaps it's more freaky that people don't follow their gut feelings more.
It's intuition, isn't it? If you don't, every time I've gone against my intuition, I've walked into a room and thought, I don't like that person. And then I thought, no, but come on, Leslie, don't do the face. Don't do the ignorant, be polite. And every time I've gone against my intuition, I've made that mistake and been
so
hurt.
Many people say that. And here's another clever play on words for you. Intuition, inner tuition.
Inner tuition. Yes.
Inner tuition.
Yes, inner. Yes.
Yeah. Inner
tuition. You know what, gang, and I firmly believe this. If your inner voice, call it what you will, call it your gut feeling in your heart, your inner voice, dress it up with some fancy schmancy title. If you don't listen to that little voice, every time it sucks. Every bloody time. I have never, ever, when I haven't listened to my inner voice and I've done something and it's worked, I said, why didn't I just listen to myself? What an idiot. I knew not to deal with that person, or I knew not to go to that place, or I shouldn't have done that business venture, or I shouldn't have gone to that stupid meeting, or, you just know. And why is it, and I'll ask Leslie first and then Neil, why is it we don't just say, our inner voice is saying X, but I'm going to ignore it? Why do we do that when we know it's going to have a bad outcome? Leslie?
Well, I was going to say, I don't know. I mean, one of the reasons sometimes I ignore the inner voice is I suppose, being judged by other people as being impolite or something. I mean, with me, it's always been about people. You know me well enough, Russ, that sadly I'm not very good at hiding how I feel on my
Why
face.
should you bother though?
Well, exactly.
Anymore? Why should we bother?
And I recently, I mean, have a long-standing friend has fallen out with me big time because I went with my intuition and didn't speak to somebody at an event that we were at. And that person said to me, how could you do that? That was insulting, blah, blah. And I said, well, they've never ever spoken to me, even when I've said hello. I'm actually not playing that game anymore. And that was it. I'm apparently cut off. I'm persona non grata. But you know what? No, now I've got kind of sod it. Attitude to it, because I'm okay. I'm fine. And everything else is fine. I didn't hurt anybody by not talking to them.
Screw that.
Probably did more good by not talking to them.
This is from Melanie Hutchins. I think we try and hope for the best and think they really can't be that bad. And then, of course, they are. Yes. Melanie, every damn time.
Yeah.
They're not going to do. Oh, my God. Yes, they are.
I think, actually, if you're going to ask me next, I think Leslie's answered it perfectly. It's about the expectations of other people. You know, I should do that because it's polite. I don't want to seem rude, you know, but is it rude to say no? No is a word we need to learn. Ask any reformed people pleaser. And at what point are you not allowed to say no? Is it wrong to say, is a child wrong to say no for not accepting a lift from a stranger? Would that be rude? Oh, no, you should be polite to people. I mean, how far does this cultural conditioning go?
We'll get into that, Van.
What happened to common sense?
Dave Sleet up in Fife says those in control of tribes, etc., will give a ceremonial removal of the concept that the masses owed the boss for good fortune, blessed harvests, etc. Therefore, the masses were not indebted to the boss. It was a way of reducing the risk of mass uprising.
So it was political, really.
And so
I think we are always a scintilla away from utter chaos. My honest belief is nothing is keeping everything going. Nothing at all. It is a mutual feeling that, oh, it's kind of all right. It actually isn't all right. Everybody's making everything up as we go along, and the last few years has absolutely shone an unremittingly brutal spotlight on that. And I think we are just constantly a heartbeat away from chaos. And it's only the inherent good nature of people that stops absolute anarchy and pandemonium. I've always felt that.
And I think what's worth recognizing is the majority of people are good people. And I really think we need to hang on to that fact once in a while when everything seems as though it's going to shit, excuse me.
No.
There are good people and the majority are good, which is why when somebody isn't good, we notice it more because it has that knock-on effect as well and hurts the good people.
I think one of the reasons, I know this sounds bonkers, that the Brits love Her Majesty the Queen is that it's like one thing, and other countries, they don't get it. They don't get this emotional link. This is someone we've never met. You may have met her, but you've never met. You're probably never going to meet. The whole thing is completely bonkers, and yet we love it. And I think that we love it because it gives us, in a world of chaos, some form of stability. How that works, I don't know. I can never quite rationalize it in my mind, but I get very emotional. I thought the Jubilee was wonderful. Why? I just did.
I know what you mean. I think we needed that. We needed that high energy. We needed that feeling of celebration. And again, if it brings you comfort, absolutely do it. And I think there's reason for hope. I think there's people evolving and waking up, more and more conversations like this.
The best thing about the Jubilee, it was the diametric opposite to, the diametric opposite to social media. And I say it in this way because social media can be wonderful. I've made some wonderful, genuine friends and reached out and contacts and all sorts of things that wouldn't have happened. And it can be disgusting, absolutely, as we know. But the majority of social media is very negative. It's very angry. It's very divisive about any subject at all. And
it's not very social.
It's nasty. It isn't social. But what was beautiful, and it's only just occurred to me a few seconds ago, when you saw the hundreds of thousands of people all around Buckingham Palace, going up the Mall, all around everywhere, having a wonderful time, being positive, that positive cheering, that lovely energy and everything, like, you think that is really what life, the majority of people are like. They're not these angry little people sitting in their mum's spare bedroom, complaining about absolutely everything. They're just screaming because they scream the loudest, so they get noticed. But
And if that's not
really
reason for hope, I don't know what isn't.
Do you agree? Are you you joking or are you serious? What do you mean?
I'm serious.
Do you mean that? No. That's what I'm thinking.
I agree. No. I'm not at all joking. No, I completely agree.
I've just read what Paul Rose has written. Until Rod Stewart started. Oh, he did. I mean, he did say, the BBC asked me to do this song. I didn't want to. And
I want to do it.
And he shouldn't have done it because it's not his song. And why did they make him sing it? But that's a whole other story.
Because it's a football thing. It's a sing-along. It's just like Rod Stewart hasn't made enough fantastic sing-along tracks.
Oh, he's lovely. Leave him alone.
No, he was
good.
so no.
But what I was going to say about the Jubilee,
he was so nice to my best friend.
The Jubilee, we were actually given permission to celebrate, permission to be happy. And for 48 hours, we didn't talk about the cost of petrol going up. We didn't talk about food prices. We actually had somebody saying, it's okay, go out and celebrate. And God knows we all needed to, because
two really important points. I agree with you fully, Leslie. And on top of that, it's two really important points here. Number one, it just shows the power of where we put our attention, because we've all got that control over to do that. And if a whole group of people are focused on positive things, the outcome will be positive. It can't be any other way. We get more of what we focus on. That's the rule of psychology. Second thing is, why do we need permission to celebrate? Whose permission are we waiting for exactly? The Queen? I mean, I'm sure she'd give it, but with all the respect in the world, Your Majesty, we don't need permission to celebrate anything.
No, but it's when I say permission, we are not a nation who applauds success very well. No. What we do is we actually do the opposite. When people are successful, we bash them down. In the States, and I know at times it seems phenomenally insincere, but success is applauded at every level, throughout school, everything. Here it isn't, and it ought to be celebrated.
I agree.
So that we don't need permission. It's normal.
Yes, it should be a given. It's a bit like the crabs in the bucket. Do you know what I mean by that? You put a bunch of crabs in a bucket and one tries to climb out. The others won't form a ladder and get him out. They will try and pull him back.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Have you not had crabs? So
not
sorry.
Recently, not until
I have to bring it down.
Not recently, until after I've cleaned up my act. Now, this is from Neil's had to go, I think, and just laugh somewhere else. Lisa Jane says, I've always been like this since I was a little girl. I've always believed in the universe. I have so many weird things that have happened to me. I was told by a psychic lady many, many years ago. She held my hand, said I had a gift. Happened again when I was in South America. I'm like, Leslie, if I don't say it to the personal situation, my face does. Absolutely. I actually have T-shirts say, sorry I'm late, but I don't want to come. I nearly bought the same shirt. I love that shirt.
I want
That's
one.
hilarious.
But I would call that radical honesty, and maybe we need a bit more of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know, there are people say, oh, should we go to the, I want you to go to that. And you think, why do that? Why do I need to do that?
It should, must, and ought. If you think you should do it, you must do it, or you ought to do it, then you probably want to look at that.
And then you think, well, what is the moral imperative for me? Say it's something stupid like a party. I don't like parties particularly, or a dinner. Right, or something. Let's take it right down. I'm not talking about big, huge life choices, but say it's an event. You really don't want to go. What is the moral imperative that's forcing you to go and spend an evening who people you're never going to see again, probably won't talk to you, and you think, I've got all dressed. What the hell am I doing here?
I just like a good party. I like hosting parties, though.
That's different. No, that's different. That's entirely different. Having all your pals round or your your close family. That's entirely, that's lovely.
We have DJ parties. Woohoo!
Well, But
But
what I'm do you see what I'm
going
saying?
into that room full of people that you will never see again, that you have no particular vested interest in. I mean, charity events. I'm
I'm
often
not doing
very
any more.
happy to give the money, but please don't ask me to sit through an evening with people I haven't
I'm not doing it.
chosen to be
I'm
with.
not doing it anymore. I took a pledge to myself, and I get invited. Not so much now, but back in I deliberately, because I always say no, and I said I'm happy to make a donation. That's all you really want. Let me make a donation. Take the money. I don't want anything. I don't want the rubber chicken dinner. You're saving yourself a lot of money. Please just have that. I don't want to spend an evening doing this. I don't see what it adds. You're doing the event to raise money. Let me help you do that. Happy to do so, but I don't want to sit there for an evening, because I'll be honest with you, after 15 to 20 minutes of any function, I want to go.
Yeah.
Not this weekend. It was one of the kids' graduations, and I wanted it to last forever. That was magnificent. That's entirely different.
Oh, yeah. How did it all go?
It was beautiful. Thank you very much. One of the greatest days of my life. My heart is still
fantastic.
So full with it. So full with
and a greatest day of twin one's life as well. But he won't know that until probably 10 or 15 years hence.
He was very happy. I was happy.
I'm so pleased.
It suddenly dawned on him what he's achieved.
Yeah.
I just had a thought.
Uh-huh.
My thought is this: for another program, maybe charities, being asked to give to charities all the time. And we've said at the beginning, saying no. I now say no to people. I say, thank you for asking me. I wish you every success. However, I have 2 charities that I give to regularly, and that's where I give. I cannot give any more. But I think we could do something on that, because people feel so guilty if they don't give.
I think we should get Helen Snape on to talk about the power of the word no. She's this reforming people pleaser person.
Great.
Brilliant.
Would
you like me to do that?
Yes, please. This is from Liz Saul, who's a pal of
Liz.
No need to shout now. No need to shout. Radio etiquette. Liz. This is why virtual discos and the one Neil did during lockdown work so well. You can bop away in the comfort of your own home with your own bar. Precisely.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Precisely. No Uber home, and you can smash the place up. I don't even care.
Because it's not your home. And Elizabeth Green says...
now here's a twist. Now, this is talking about synchronicity, and this is different. I always think there's a reason I'm here. Sometimes I'm supposed to meet people. It often turns out that way. Well, that's the thing as well. That's part of being in flow, and that's a good thing. Blatant self-promotion, says Paul. That's not blatant self-promotion, Paul.
No, but we like that.
It's relatively subtle, I think.
We like blatant safe. Oh, no, I got the wrong one. Hang on. This is
a media talk. What do you expect?
I'm trying to do everything with this, and of course, I don't have the dexterity on the mouse, so I apologize. Melanie Hutchins says, what's the worst that can happen if you don't go? Well, the answer is nothing. I mean, it could be a problem if it's your wedding day. Yeah. Or if you're booked to be a host, like Neil.
Well, there's always Zoom nowadays.
If you're booked to be a host, I mean, that's just blooming rude, or you present. That's entirely different. But if you're just a punter, you're just a guest, and you're sitting on table 72, somewhere between the band and the toilet, no one's even going to know you're there. There's no difference. It makes absolutely no difference at all. People get upset. They get upset. I sneak out now. I go when people say, oh, you didn't say goodbye. No, I went. Finished. Done. You sit at the table. You don't know anybody else. You're on your own. And you think, what the hell am I? I'm going home.
Yeah.
And I say something, very polite, lovely to meet you. Got to get back for the dog or some crap. And I just quietly leave. I don't make a hoo-ha. I just go very quietly, and the evening can proceed. I've done my bit. That's it. If people I've
had a lot of headaches at weddings. I must go now. Do excuse me. I've got a terrible headache.
Yeah.
It works.
Why do we feel obligated? Why do we feel? If it's a contractual thing, totally different. Totally different.
But
comes down to the S word. Comes down to the shoulding.
But that happens from childhood with mummy and daddy saying, you know, say thank you for this, say hello to this person.
Exactly. And it's like a behavior that's lost into adulthood, but is no longer contextually correct. That's the thing. We're meant to sort of evolve and put things in the context they were meant at the time and how they apply to us now, not keep this rigid kind of rule system all the way through our life. It's like saying, if all you got is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail.
Well, that's very good. Azadon Brown, we're going to finish with this because we can't believe we're out of time. By the way, I should mention that my desire for spiritual understanding was fueled by near-death experience, and it eventually evolved into my psychological work. Azadon Brown, we need you to discuss.
Have you read Anita Morjani's book, Azadon Brown? That's quite extraordinary.
We'll have to get him on. Thank you both. I've really enjoyed it, and I think everybody watching and listening around the world has too.
It's been a great show.
Until we meet
Lovely
again
to see
on
you, Leslie.
Wednesday. Bye. Take care.
Bye. Bye.